Jimi and his friends formed several bands while growing up, and his grandmother, Nora Hendrix, let them rehearse in her home.
And when the boys was practicing around here, and simmer down on that old bass thing that you got, I said, have you got to put all that noise in there? I said, that kills the music. Why, there ain't no music to a whole lot of noise. And it is no sound, it's just, just like a blasted head. Well, sometimes we have to stop the boys. They get to practicing.
By his teens, Jimi was working in a small dance group called the Rockin' Kings. Though he was very creative and wrote a lot of poetry, Jimi never finished high school and instead joined the paratroopers. He got out in 1963 and continued with his biggest passion in life, music. Backing rhythm and blues greats like B.B. King, Little Richard, and Jackie Wilson. At times, Jimi played with a group of his own under the names Jimmy James and Maurice James. That's what he was doing one night in 1966 when Chas Chandler, former bass player with the Animals, saw him in a small club in New York.
He was playing in a little club called the Cafe One in Greenwich Village. He just met the musicians that afternoon when I saw him. He got about $15 for doing 4 shows a day there. I just sat there, I thought to myself, well, there's got to be a catch here somewhere because somebody must have signed him up years ago, sort of thing, I just couldn't believe that this guy was standing around and nobody was doing anything for him,
Chas figured Jimi was just what the swinging London scene needed and convinced him to give it a try. Once in England, things happened quickly.
He just went around, sat in with groups at first. Like he sat in with a cream at a college at the Regent Polytechnic, and Eric just freaked over him, Eric Clapton. And they were a very powerful name at the time. They just kept on raving about him. And in no time at all, the concerts were full.
Under Chas's guidance, Jimi formed a trio, the Jimi Hendrix Experience, with Mitch Mitchell on drums and Noel Redding on bass. They started playing the inn clubs and became an underground sensation in London even before they cut a record.
We got a tremendous amount of help from other people like Mick Jagger, Paul McCartney, John Lennon. They would go out of their way to rave about him in interviews and things like that. They would turn the course of an entire interview around just to talk about Jimi Hendrix. And he got almost like a legendary name so very fast.
Within a few short months, Chas had the Experience in the studio cutting their first single that became an instant British smash, Hey Joe. Though the Experience took off quickly, Mitch Mitchell recalls that those early days were filled with financial hardship.